Have you ever noticed a strange, almost cruel pattern in your life, where the very thing you're most terrified of, being broke, feeling trapped in a job, getting rejected, ending up completely alone, somehow, someway, always finds you? It's the person who's so afraid of being poor that they make panic decisions that keep them in financial struggle. It's the person who fears betrayal so deeply that their insecurity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, pushing their partner away. It's the fear of public humiliation that causes someone to freeze and stumble during the most important presentation of their life. It feels like the universe is playing a mean trick on you, right? Like you're being punished for being afraid. But what if I told you it's not the universe at all? This isn't a cosmic joke. It's a predictable, psychological system. And once you understand how it works, you can learn to hack it. In this video, we're going to uncover exactly why you attract your worst fears, and more importantly, how you can stop it for good. This phenomenon isn't some mystical law where thoughts become things in a simple, magical way. While that idea is popular, the real mechanism is far more nuanced and, frankly, more fascinating because it's rooted in the very biology of your brain. You aren't being targeted by some external cosmic force. You are, in a very real sense, running a piece of software that you didn't even know you installed. And to understand why you keep getting what you fear, we need to look at 3 key components of your internal operating system. The first is a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS. Think of your RAS as the ultimate personal assistant for your consciousness. Your brain is constantly bombarded with millions of bits of sensory information every second. Sights, sounds, smells. It would be utterly overwhelming to process it all. So, your RAS acts as a filter, and its primary job is to bring to your conscious attention only the information that it deems most important. How does it decide what's important? It takes its cues from what you consistently focus on, what you believe, and what you emotionally charge with your energy. This is why when you decide to buy a specific car, you suddenly start seeing that model everywhere. The car didn't magically multiply. Your RAS simply started filtering it in because you told it, "This is important." Now, apply this to fear. When you are consumed by a deep-seated fear, such as, "I'm unlovable and will never find a good partner," you are essentially giving your RAS a direct order. You are saying, "This is my top priority. Find me all the evidence that proves I am unlovable." And like a loyal, unquestioning employee, your RAS gets to work. It will meticulously scan your environment and your memories, highlighting every bad date, every minor rejection, every person who seems happier than you, and every article about declining marriage rates. Meanwhile, it filters out the potential partners who show interest, the kind compliments, and the examples of healthy relationships around you. Your fear, by being your dominant focus, creates a perceptual tunnel vision, making the world look exactly like the dangerous place you feared it was. You are not seeing reality objectively. You are seeing a reality curated specifically to confirm your deepest anxieties. This filtered perception then fuels the second mechanism, the self-fulfilling prophecy. This is where your internal fear creates an external reality through a predictable cycle. It begins with the core fear itself. Let's use the fear of rejection. This fear generates a stream of anxious thoughts. They're going to think I'm boring. I'm probably going to say something stupid. They don't really like me. These thoughts then dictate your actions. On a date, you might come off as needy, constantly seeking validation, or you might go to the opposite extreme and become distant and aloof to protect yourself. You might talk too much about yourself, or, conversely, clam up entirely. You are not acting as your authentic self. You are acting from a place of defense and anxiety. The other person, consciously or not, picks up on this tense, insecure energy. They feel the pressure or the disconnect, and the interaction becomes strained. The date ends poorly, and you are, in fact, rejected. And what is the final, devastating step? You look at this outcome, and your brain concludes, "See? I knew it would happen. I was right to be afraid." This confirmation then deepens the original fear, making it stronger and more dominant for the next time, tightening the loop until it feels inescapable. You didn't attract rejection out of thin air. You enacted a script that made it the most likely outcome. And this leads to the third, more subtle concept: energetic and nonverbal communication. Your fear isn't just a silent monologue happening inside your skull. It's a physical force that radiates from you. It's in the tension in your shoulders when you walk into a social event, the slight quiver in your voice when you ask for a raise, the inability to hold eye contact when you're sharing a vulnerable idea. It's a low-grade desperation or a defensive wall that people can feel intuitively. Humans are hardwired to read these nonverbal cues for survival. So, when you are broadcasting, "I am not enough," or "I expect you to betray me," the world responds in kind. People may become hesitant to trust you, authority may doubt your capabilities, and potential partners may sense the unresolved baggage and pull away. They are not responding to your true, capable self. They are responding to the hidden script of fear you are constantly running. Your energy is, in effect, setting the stage and directing the other actors, often without a single word of the true script ever being spoken aloud. Now that we see the mechanisms at play, we have to ask a more profound question. Why would our own minds work against us in this way? The answer lies in two hidden drivers that operate largely from the subconscious, and understanding them is the key to disarming the entire pattern. The first hidden reason is that your fear is essentially a misdirected compass. It's crucial to understand that your brain's most primitive, powerful drive is not to make you happy, but to keep you safe. When you fixate on a fear, your brain interprets that intense focus as a critical survival directive. It's like your internal security system screaming danger at the highest alert level. The problem is, the brain is a goal-oriented organ, and it follows the energy of your focus. By constantly thinking about what you don't want, "I don't want to be alone," "I don't want to be broke," you are still giving your brain a destination, just a disastrously negative one. Imagine programming a GPS. If you type in, "Whatever you do, don't take me to the crash site," what instructions have you actually given the system? It knows a location you fear, but it has no clear, positive coordinates to navigate toward. It might keep you circling the block near the crash site, hypervigilant and stressed, because that's the only data point it has. A functional system needs a clear, positive destination. "Take me home safely" gives the GPS a precise, actionable target. Your mind works the same way. "Don't let me be rejected" keeps you trapped in the orbit of rejection. "I want to build a genuine, connected relationship" gives your internal GPS a positive coordinate to navigate toward, redirecting all those psychological resources, your RAS, your actions, your energy, toward a fulfilling outcome instead of just away from a painful one. The second and perhaps more insidious reason is the perverse comfort of the familiar. We tend to think of our comfort zone as a place of ease and happiness, but in reality, it's simply the domain of the predictable. Your nervous system, which craves homeostasis, would often rather endure a known pain than face an unknown possibility. This is why people stay in unfulfilling jobs or toxic relationships. The misery is a known quantity, a predictable script. The subconscious reasoning is brutal but logical. "I know what this pain feels like. I have survived it before. I know how to be the person who is struggling and resentful. But I have no idea who I would be if I were successful or truly loved or financially free. What new challenges would that bring? What new vulnerabilities would I have to face?" The unknown, even a potentially glorious one, represents a threat to the ego's current structure. So the subconscious mind, in its quest for a predictable world, will actively work to validate the fear, because being right and miserable feels safer than being vulnerable and surprised. It will sabotage opportunities, ignore positive signs, and reinforce the old story, all to maintain the coherence of your known world, even if that world is built on a foundation of anxiety. This creates a comfort zone not of ease, but of predictable pain, a prison where you are both the inmate and the guard, and breaking out requires a conscious, courageous decision to trade the safety of the known for the uncertainty of potential. Understanding the trap is the first step to freedom, but knowledge alone isn't enough. We must now engage in the practical, conscious work of rewiring the system. This isn't about a single magical affirmation. It's about building a new internal framework through consistent practice. The cycle can be broken, and it begins with a simple but profound act of turning inward. You have to become a detective of your own mind. Most of our core fears operate in the shadows, as unnamed background noise that influences everything. The first and most critical step is to drag them into the light. This requires brutal, uncompromising honesty with yourself. Find a quiet moment and write them down. Don't just write, "I'm afraid of being poor." Go deeper. Uncover the core identity-level fear that underpins it. Write down, "I am afraid that I am not enough to succeed." Or, "I am afraid that I am fundamentally unlovable and will end up alone." Seeing these words on paper does two things. It robs them of their vague, overwhelming power, and it clearly defines the exact enemy you are dealing with. You cannot solve a problem you refuse to name. Once you have identified the core fear, the next step is to learn to intercept its pattern in real time. This is a moment-by-moment practice. You will feel the familiar anxiety begin to rise, the clutch in your chest before a social gathering, the knot in your stomach when checking your bank account. This is the critical juncture. Instead of being swept away by the emotional tide, you pause and simply acknowledge it. You might say to yourself, "Ah, there it is. There's my fear of not being good enough making itself known." This single act of naming it in the moment creates a sliver of space between you and the reaction. In that space, you have the power to perform the most important maneuver, the pivot. Your instinctual question in that anxious moment is, what if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if I run out of money? These are fear-based questions that command your brain to find all the ways things can go wrong. The pivot is to consciously replace that question with a new one. What do I want to happen here? What would feel good, connected, and expansive? What would a sense of security feel like in this situation? This isn't naive positivity. It's a strategic redirect. You are literally reprogramming your reticular activating system on the spot, shifting its mission from find the danger to find the opportunity and the solution. Awareness and mental pivots are powerful, but they must be anchored in physical reality. The mind and body are one system, and you cannot think your way into a new state without also acting your way into one. This is where you begin to consciously embody the opposite of your fear. If your core fear is being broke and powerless, ask yourself, what is the physical and emotional posture of someone who feels financially secure and capable? They might stand a little taller, their shoulders might be more relaxed, their breath might be deeper. They likely take small, consistent actions that reflect that sense of agency. Perhaps they review their budget with clarity, they invest in learning a new skill, or they make a decision from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Your assignment is to start acting as if you already inhabit that state. This is not about pretending you have $1 million in the bank. It's about practicing the energy of security through tiny, tangible behaviors. You are giving your nervous system evidence of a new reality, convincing your subconscious through action that a different outcome is not only possible, but is already beginning to take root. Finally, It is essential to shift your focus from the overwhelming size of the fear to the manageable size of the process. Staring at the monster in the closet, the gigantic, terrifying fear of lifelong loneliness or total financial ruin, will only paralyze you. You cannot solve that entire problem in one day, so stop trying. Your job is not to slay the monster in one heroic battle. Your job is to simply focus on taking one small, brave step with the door. Your desire is the direction, not the distant, finished product. If you fear being alone, your desire is connection. The small, brave step is not find a soulmate. It's strike up a conversation with one person today, or text a friend to make plans. If you fear professional failure, your desire is confident competence, and your small step is to spend 30 minutes mastering one small part of your craft. Each tiny action taken in the direction of your desire is a rep for your courage muscle. It builds momentum and creates a new, positive feedback loop for your brain. Consistency in these small steps builds a new identity, one that is defined not by its fears, but by its courageous and deliberate actions. So, let's bring it all together. The pattern we've uncovered reveals a fundamental truth. The universe isn't a cruel puppeteer handing you your worst fears as a punishment. You have been an active, albeit unconscious, co-creator of that reality. Through the laser focus of your attention, the beliefs you reinforced, and the actions you took from a place of anxiety, you collaborated with the mechanisms of your own mind to build a world that matched your expectations. You were following a script written by fear, believing it was your destiny. But now you see the machinery behind the curtain. You understand the loyal RAS just doing its job, the self-fulfilling prophecy playing out its predictable cycle, and the comfort of a painful familiar. This knowledge is your key to freedom. This means the power was never outside of you. The immense creative capacity of your focus, the very same force that so effectively manifested the scenarios you dreaded, is now yours to reclaim and redirect. You have been using this power backwards, aiming it like a weapon at your own feet. Now, you can turn it toward the horizon. The mechanism that once shouted, "Find me danger," can now be programmed to whisper, "Find me opportunity." The energy that once built walls can now build bridges. This isn't about becoming a different person. It's about the most profound shift an individual can make, moving from being a passive reactor to your fears to becoming the active architect of your desires. And this grand transformation begins with the simplest, most deliberate act, a single shift in your focus. This is where your new path begins, not in some distant future, but in the very next moment. Your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is this. For the next 24 hours, your only job is to become the observer of your own mind. Catch yourself in just one fear-based thought. It might be a worry about a work email, an anxiety about a conversation, or a general sense of dread about the future. The moment you notice it, I want you to pause, and with all the compassion you can muster, ask yourself one simple question. But what do I want instead? You don't have to believe it yet. You don't have to have the whole plan. Just ask the question. Shift the focus from the problem to the desired solution, even for a second. This is you planting a new flag. This is you taking the first, quiet step out of the old story. The most profound changes in our lives don't always start with a giant leap. They start with a single, courageous question. I would love to hear what you discover. Leave a comment below and tell me about one fear you intercepted and what you pivoted toward. Let's begin this rewrite together.